Well, hey kids, this is Jeff back again with you, and this is the second part to this application activity that we started yesterday called What Should They Have Done? And like I said yesterday, there are tons and tons and tons of examples in the Bible of people who did not do the right thing, who had a choice to make to follow God or to do something else, and they chose wrongly. They chose something else. And so all week long, as we explore more our main point of I will learn from others' mistakes, we're going to be looking at the mistakes that these guys made in the Bible. And like I said, there's way more examples of people who make mistakes in the Bible than there are of people who are actually following God. It's like God knew that we were all going to make mistakes and we needed to learn from these things. That's how he actually designed us to live. Sometimes when we see the mistakes of people who are doing really good, sometimes we think, I could never do that. And so we don't often learn from those folks as well as we do from learning from the mistakes of others. So I've got a different Bible story, some different Bible characters every night to share with you guys. Here is today's. Cain killed Abel. And we find their story also in the first book of the Bible, which is called Genesis. And last night we heard about how Adam and Eve, the first created people ever, disobeyed God. They ate from a tree that they weren't supposed to simply because a serpent tricked them into doing it. Now we're going to read about their first two kids. Their oldest son named Cain and their second son named Abel. And we see this in Genesis chapter 4. It says that Abel was a herdsman. That meant he took care of like sheep and goats and things like that. And Cain was a farmer. Time passed, and Cain brought an offering to God from the produce of his farm. Abel also brought an offering, but from the firstborn animals of his herd, choice cuts of meat. And God liked Abel and his offering, but Cain and his offering didn't get approval. Cain lost his temper and went into a sulk. And God spoke to Cain, "Why this tantrum? Why this sulking? If you do well, won't you be accepted? And if you don't do well, sin is lying in wait for you, ready to pounce. It's out to get you. You've got to master it." Cain had words with his brother. They were out in the field. Cain came at Abel, his brother, and killed him. That is a sad story. Now, we don't know exactly why God liked Abel's offering more than Cain's, but it seems that Abel brought the absolute best that he had, the choice cuts of meat from the firstborn of his flock, and Cain brought some produce. Cain grabbed something and brought it to God. Maybe he didn't give his best, and we think that was probably the reason. If you're kind of wondering at home, well, why it doesn't seem right that God liked one and not the other. That's kind of what we think. Now, what mistake did Cain make? Yeah, kind of, killing his brother, that's kind of a big mistake, right? It's about as big a mistake as you can make. What could Cain have done in this circumstance? How could he have made the right choice? There's lots of things he could have done. He could have asked God, what could I offer you that you would like? He could have not lost his temper. He could have made pretty much any other choice other than murdering his own brother. He could have just avoided his brother. If he felt he was really angry at his brother and didn't want to see him right then, he could have gone off and gone back to his farm and said, I'm going to just cool down a little bit. Take a little bit of time before I see anybody. Obviously, attacking someone, hurting them, killing them is never the right choice. There are a lot of stories of mistakes in the Bible, aren't there? So far this week we've heard of Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar and Adam and Eve and now Cain. Each person we read about had a decision to make whether to do the right thing, follow God, or do what they want, not follow God. And they all made the wrong decision. I think you guys probably came up with some great ideas at home of what Cain could have done to avoid what he did. Probably better ideas than I had. Do you think you'll ever have a decision like Cain had? Maybe. possible, you could be so angry at someone that you've got to decide whether to attack them or not. But even if you're never in the exact same situation, you can learn from Cain's example. You can, when you get really angry about something, maybe it's even being angry at God, you can choose to not act out. You can choose to take some time, take some deep breaths, pray about it, do anything other than act out and harm someone else. You can choose to follow God. When you have a choice between doing what God wants and doing something else, I want you to think about all of these stories that we're sharing this week. Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, Adam, Eve, Cain. And I want you to learn from their mistakes and to make the better choice. That's the way God designed us, to use our brains to observe others and to choose not to make the mistakes that they made. Love you guys. Love being able to spend this time with you. Can't wait to see you again soon. I'll share another Bible story with you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.